I'm Dean. I'm the dad.
I'm Laura. I'm the mom.
And I'm Kristlyn. I'm the daughter.
And together we are
Family Plot.
That was nice. That worked out well. So how are you both today?
I am good, but I'm a little concerned that might come up in this. Should we turn it off? Okay.
How are you, my Krista?
I'm pretty good.
How was your day at school?
It was good. How was unnamed person? They're really good too.
Okay, cool.
We have a son now. His name is Gary.
Yes, I know. You told me it's a slug baby.
Yes, we have a slug baby named Gary.
Which is weird because
isn't pretty quickly. Actually, you guys just started dating, and now
I know it's a joke. It's just a
special children.
No. It's a joke, but
I mean, I know love multiplies, but that might be a little quick. Just saying. You're gonna have slug dependency issues. It's gonna be a whole thing.
Listen, he still needs to pay child support. I'm upset with him. He's upset with me. We finally got the divorce.
You were married to a slug?
I was married to a slug.
And
his name.
And does it talk?
Yes. He married a woman. I crushed her.
Well, then it's hardly a replacement, then, is it? All right, moving on. A couple ways you can help out if you'd like to. One is Patreon. You can help us out with $1, $3. It's a monthly thing. You can pause it if you need to. You get all sorts of bonus cool stuff. Also, if you can't do a monthly thing, you can do a one-time thing through Buy Me a Coffee. So that's cool.
Above all else,
yes.
The most important thing to remember is
if you enjoy our show, share it on social media. If you don't enjoy our show, please keep it to yourself. Now,
I forgot what we did last time. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I know we did something slightly different last.
I was trying to jump in and do it, but that's okay. We'll try again next time.
What are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about a city that was originally founded in 1854 by friends of Senator David Rice Atchison, who was influencing pro-slavery folks to move to Kansas because, well, that was important to him. These friends named their city after their friend, Mr. Atchison. So, Atchison, Kansas is what we're talking about.
No wonder it has all the issues. If the town is based on something as despicable as slavery and being for it, then I can see where it might collect some seriously bad juju.
Oh, and it has it. Since then, a powerful and pervasive spirit has spread through the town, or rather, spirits. So enjoy this local historical haunting episode of the Family Plot podcast. And it's spooky season. This is our official kickoff. So, But first, Krista has a corner.
It's not just any corner, it's Krista's corner.
Well, hello, creatures and goblins and whatever.
Anything that goes bump in the night other than
Lexi. And the cat.
Go bump in the night?
Apparently. How are we?
We are
Boring
good.
death.
Exhausted.
How are we? Part 2.
We are pretty good. We being me anyway. This weekend was rough, but today's been good. Got some work done on this upcoming Call of Cthulhu campaign I want to run, and I sent your mom a character creator for that, so she can probably show it to you. If she doesn't, I will. So you can just make your own character through a program. It's real easy.
So,
Yeah. So, what are we talking about in Krista's Corner?
well, I was thinking about like splitting it sort of into 2.
Okay.
1, we're going to talk about a little bit of a change in the face today.
Okay.
And 2, we're going to talk about a little bit about some Halloween stuff.
It is spooky season. Great time to talk about Halloween
Yeah,
stuff.
I figured too. So, first of all, I've changed my makeup again.
I like it. I like it when you use the white. I think it brings out some of the other colors you use.
I definitely prefer the white. I definitely do. I think that the white is a very nice.
I think we need to get you the multicolored ones again with the little stampers too, because I
feel like if I added those would be really pretty too.
Yeah.
I want them to be a bit brighter though. That's the only issue I had with the last ones. The last ones were kind of dark, and I was just like,
we'll see what we can do. Christmas is coming.
Well, and see, the only thing though that I have noticed is when you do just the black around your eyes, it makes the other colors you use muddy. Whereas if you have the white, it makes those colors pop. You don't need much white, and you never use much, but
except for right now.
Well, even now it's not crazy.
Yeah, but the white, it makes the colors stand out, so I can see what colors you used. Whereas with the black,
I think I'm gonna start like sort of doing more of this makeup. Like at this point, we've been at school for more than We've been at school for more than 6-7 weeks now.
Yeah.
I do not care if I get bullied. I think this is really cool. I think this looks a bit better.
And if you do get bullied, I'll go to your school and
I'll punch them myself.
Well,
maybe not.
Violence is never the answer.
I won't punch them. I might punch them, conversationally. Like, hey, don't be being rude.
I'll punch them for you.
Good.
Okay.
That works.
All right.
I won't get arrested.
I like your makeup a lot. So, have you considered doing like makeup tips on like YouTube and stuff?
No, I really haven't, because most of the tips that I get are from Pinterest.
Okay.
I get a lot of my stuff from Pinterest, and then some just sprouts off of the ideas from Pinterest. Because, like, I don't know, I've always been the type of person to learn from other people and do my own stuff afterwards.
Well, right. But I like that because this adventure I'm working on is all based on you going, I want to kick over a bucket with some rats in it.
I love that.
The whole adventure is based around you saying that.
I was taking big sips.
Isn't it fun when you can influence your
father into doing something? Yeah. That's super fun, especially when I'm just like, I want to have a bucket of rats. Not really rats that you can fight, just rats you can kick over. I want to see them scatter across the floor.
So, do we have more makeup stuff to talk about, or are we ready to move on to the next?
I'm trying to extend it. I was thinking of doing this sort of. I forgot to talk about this too, the lip stuff that I was doing.
Yeah, but see, the lip to me, it's like all part of the same thing. You're doing a bunny nose, which I'll admit, and I didn't see it until you told me you were doing a bunny nose. I thought it was like a cat thing, but that's probably because I've seen the musical Cats a few times. And
isn't it really bad?
The musical itself, not really. The movie, horrible, but the musical itself, not bad.
I think you would like it because it's done by the same person who did It's an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical also, which is the same person who did Jesus Christ Superstar, I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was done by the same person. So I think that you probably would actually really enjoy it because I know how much you enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, the actors were so good. Part of the thing that I liked about that musical, excuse me, changing the topic entirely, but like part of the reason that I loved that musical was because the actors like struck me in the heart. I was like, whoa.
That's kind of a theater thing, though. I think that you would get that from a lot of other places. You just haven't had a lot of exposure.
I would love to get more exposure to that because that's great.
And if you look on YouTube, there's musicals on there. I mean, some of them old, but a lot of times it's stage productions.
Right. See,
and a good stage production of Cats is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. And see, here's my thing on that. I'm okay with online, but at the same time, it's just like I kind of prefer in person because
I'm just saying as a way to experience things you haven't seen. Like I want to swear like Pippin is online, and that's one of my favorite musicals.
I have to say I've never seen that one.
It's cute. I like it.
That's what you just said. I'm just saying I've never seen it. I've seen a lot. Mostly, like, my mom was really into Hammerstein, Brothers and Hammerstein. So, Sound of Music, The Music Man, Hello Dolly.
I'm more a Gilbert and Sullivan guy. Pirates of Penzance.
I've never seen Pirates of Penzance.
Oh, I love that one. It was the first thing that I saw Kevin Kline in, and because of it, I had a love for Kevin Kline for a very long time until he did Wild Wild West, and then I was just like, this is awful, and I'm sorry that I ever loved it.
I'm sorry.
So, that's just my take on it. But whatever.
Anyway.
Yeah, what else?
On to part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because we already talked about besides the fact that like there's a whole bunch of different colors all over my face right now, and I absolutely love it.
Well, yeah.
I look like a tie-dye Mad Hatter rabbit.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And I love it. It's great. I enjoy it. I want to get into like sort of the alternative styles. So
that works.
It's partial.
Yeah, but Krys, you've always been that way. You've always
had your own style.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Yeah.
And I like that about you. Don't let anybody push that down.
You've always had like a little of the past mixed with now. And I mean, it's always been your style kind of. And I like that.
I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. Anyway, part 2. Costumes. What are we thinking for costumes for Halloween?
I'm not. I'm thinking about I'll have to walk your sister around the neighborhood and hope people are giving away candy without razor blades in it.
I wasn't planning on walking her around our neighborhood. I was planning on going up the street and hitting the rich neighborhood.
Well, we could do that too. We could do that too. We could go back to Carla's old neighborhood for all I care. She did pretty well there.
Yeah, right down the road from some of the richest houses in the area. I mean,
okay. Yeah.
Have you seen some of these houses up the street from us?
No, but houses don't impress me.
It's like Lee Summit.
So what are you thinking for a costume, Krista?
Well, I was thinking of either using the cat mask that Mom bought me recently, or I was thinking of using one of my dino masks, one of my favorite dino masks.
Cool.
Gemini.
Lexi's going to be a princess.
Yes, she is.
She's going to be a princess?
Yeah.
She's already a princess. Okay. Turns to bad. She's gonna turn to bads at night.
Can we dress her up in a princess costume and let Krista do like vampire makeup on her, and she can be like an undead princess? That would be.
I was going to say, I could put a little skull face on her.
Or we could do a Day of the Dead, like Sugar Skull on her.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to get someone other than me to do that. I have no artistic ability. Skull I can only do because I've done it on my face and that. But
We'll see. We've still got several weeks before we get down to that, so all good.
so, Krys, eh, what else? Did you have more costume stuff, or have we reached the end of Krista's Corner, and when should we talk about Atchison?
I think I've reached the end of it. I was trying to extend the makeup part because
That's okay, baby. You don't have a specific time frame that you have to fill ever.
Yeah, Krys, and especially on an episode like this where we have a lot to talk about. Let me tell you. So let's start with some early Atchison history. Again, a bit of a disclaimer here. This is really a brief bit of their history. It covers all we need to know and all you need to know to understand what we've done as far as the places we're visiting. But there is definitely a lot more, and most of our research came from Atchison's own website. So if you would like to find more information, that's a good place to go. So let me talk a little bit about early Atchison history. As I said, it was founded in 1854. The Civil War happened shortly afterwards, and Atchison raised 3 companies on behalf of Kansas. Companies A, C, and At All Hazards, which what was considered hazmat during the Civil War. I don't know because doctrine was full of craziness. So it's not like
Guesswork.
Yeah. They also raised a home guard in case they were attacked by Missouri forces. It even became home to multiple bands of Jayhawkers, which Jayhawkers were the anti-slavery groups, including Charles Metz, who is better known as Cleveland Metz, who stole horses in Missouri and sold them in Kansas, threatened his pro-slavery neighbors with robbery and murder, and even hunted Atchison's first president, P.T. Abell, so much that Abell went into hiding. When the Civil War ended...
Atchison had a president?
Yeah, apparently. Not a president of the United States president, but a president of the area before it was officially... I don't know. But yeah, he was described as president, so maybe president of the town, maybe like a mayor, I don't know.
Weird. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
When the Civil War ended, Atchison became a big part of the rail movement, as did nearby St. Joseph. It's also built a large foundry that is still the center of the town's industry to this day. So that's really all you need to know about Kansas, about Atchison, as we head into this very haunting episode. And I believe, Krys, that means you.
Oh shoot, sorry. Do I start at Atchison Street?
Yes.
Okay. Atchison Street. This was originally known as Ferry Street, primarily because a ferry took folks across Missouri River. When it was still Ferry Street, a woman in a buggy was heading down the hill. The animals became unhitched, and the buggy plummeted down the hill to the river and sank so fast the woman driving was trapped inside, and her body never recovered. To this day, folks near the river often hear a woman calling out to them from the water, and as if she wants someone to join her.
Yeah.
Whoa!
All right.
You want to go walking near the river in Atchison, Missouri River in Atchison, Krista?
We don't want to walk near the Missouri River anywhere.
Probably true.
I mean, I've lived here long enough to know that.
Good.
Anyway. So next we're going to talk about the Wagner home. It was placed on the National Register of Historic Places on May 3rd, 1974, and is located at 819 North 4th Street. This home was once owned by B.P. Wagner, a local attorney and politician. The home is decorated with multiple gargoyle statues that some claim that BP adorned the home with in honor of the deal with the devil that supposedly earned Mr. Wagner his fortune. A later owner had decided to remove some of the gargoyles and fell down the stairs to his death. The place has been visited multiple times by local paranormal groups who have contacted a spirit or perhaps multiple ones. EVPs and apparitions are regularly seen at the Wagner home.
And now let's take a word from our sponsors. This is an early break. We will do another one later in the show. But for now, word from our sponsors.
Hey, Dad.
Yes, Krys.
I feel sponsored, and I think somebody else does too.
Yay! So let's move on to Jackson Park. This huge park has hiking trails, playgrounds, and is quite popular. It is also believed to be home to Molly. Now, according to one story, Molly was a young black girl caught, killed, and hung by racists in the park. According to a second story, Molly was part of a young couple that had a fight at the park. The boy left the girl, and the girl was later found dead. Now, the guy was a suspect, but for whatever reason was never arrested or tried. Either way, no one was punished for the crime, and at midnight most nights, one can hear several screams from different areas of the park. Also, full-bodied apparitions of a woman dressed in fancy clothes have been seen in the park, as well as local ghost hunting groups have turned up a lot of evidence as well.
Wow. Molly's busy.
Molly is
very busy.
Molly is a very busy lady.
Very. There's a home on. You scrolling all the way down? There is a home on North 3rd Street that once belonged to Nellie Trueblood, a single school teacher. Now, according to the legend, she passed away within the home. Though, according to her nephew, she passed in Atchison Hospital. Either way, the new owners began to renovate the place, but the workmen began to encounter massive orbs, 18 to 24 inches across, that would move out of the way when you tried to touch them. They also reported apparitions and strange voices, and eventually they left rather than continue to work on the home. Her nephew states that she would not be in a scary haunt other than out of a sense of persevering home.
Alrighty.
Basically, yeah. Now, I don't have a problem with her dying in the hospital and still haunting her home, because we've talked about,
Yeah, absolutely.
haunts happen where you live more often than where you die.
Right.
And yeah, that's one thing. Like her nephew said that, she was a lovely woman and that her energy would be positive. The only negative you might encounter is she did love her home. And so she may want to preserve it the way it was originally built.
Makes sense to me. Can't blame her for that. So the next location we want to talk about a little bit is the Riverview Drive home. Several strange occurrences have been reported in this house, such as televisions and stereos mysteriously turning on at full volume, and noise from rooms where no one is occupying. On one such occasion, the resident thought the noise was her dog and called out to him. However, instead of the dog responding to her call, an elderly woman's ghostly spirit entered the room. Wrapped in a shroud, the spirit smoothed a place on the bed and sat next to the resident. Screaming, the resident ran from the room to be answered by the slamming of the attic door behind her. Another strange experience has occurred to several guests who have stayed within the house. Apparently, when guests stay in this home, they are instructed to place their luggage at a space at the top of the stairs, which leads to the attic. However, the spirit seemingly doesn't like the suitcases stored in this area because the luggage is often found tossed to the bottom of the stairs.
Well, that's where we're staying for our next vacation.
No, it's not.
No.
So let's go to our next home. This is located at Kearney and 5th Street. And for whatever reason, Kearney in Atchison is spelled without the second E.
All right.
According to the former owners of this house, a friendly ghost lingers here. While there are many unexplained events, such as the sounds of someone walking throughout the house, the ghost is seemingly very helpful. At one point, the ghost helped the man of the house into his dinner jacket. Thinking his wife had helped him, he turned around to thank her, but no one was there. On another occasion, when the couple was returning home from a trip, the wife mentioned that she would love to have a cup of tea when she got home. Upon their arrival home, a tea kettle was hissing, and a cup, saucer, tea bag, and spoon were sitting on the counter.
Nice.
That's wholesome.
That's a little Casper. Guess what I think we should do now?
What should we do now?
I think we should have another word from our sponsors.
You were so
I
brilliant.
have no objections.
All righty. Sponsors, take it away.
So I guess it's my turn
Is it?
to feel sponsored.
Very good. Do you feel sponsored?
I do indeed.
Exceptionally sponsored?
Yes, exceptionally well sponsored for this
Excellent.
episode anyway.
Yeah, sure. Kristen?
Okay. I keep getting distracted. I'm so sorry. When this home was purchased by the current owners, I'm sorry, Mom. Whenever it scrolls down, I can't.
No, you're fine.
It came completely furnished, including several paintings on the wall. Making changes to their homes, the new owners removed several of the paintings, wrapped them carefully, then placed them in the basement for storage. However, the very next day, every single painting was back in its original location.
And that is referring to the house at Riverview Drive and R Street. That would mess you up, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be like, do all of this work, stir up dust, put everything down in the basement, be tired, your arms would be sore, get up the next morning, everything's back. You'd be like, what the heck?
I did this all yesterday. I remember vividly.
What is going on? All right. The next location that we want to talk about is the McIntyre
I think it's McIntyre, but I could be wrong.
McIntyre Villa, which is a stately mansion at 1301 Kansas Avenue. It was built originally by Irish immigrant John McIntyre in 1890. The villa was placed on the National Register of Historic Places on March 26, 1975. Odd phenomena are reported in the mansion frequently, including lights turning on and off in the tower, which does not even have electricity. People walking or driving past the building have often reported seeing figures at the windows when no one is in the house. figures have often been reported to appear in photographs taken inside the old villa as well.
Fun.
Yep.
So let's talk about the Muchnick House. It's located at 704 4th Street. It was built in 1885. It was a host to frequent Saturday night parties. On one evening, the event ran into the early hours of Sunday morning. Having been kept up very late, a maid who had worked for the party the evening before overslept the following morning, as you do.
Yeah.
Rushing from her bedroom, she ran down the back staircase to the kitchen and fell to her death.
God.
Also, apparently, like you do.
Yeah, I guess.
Today, witnesses report the lights from the back staircase turned on and off by themselves on Sunday mornings, followed by the smell of cooking bacon from the kitchen when no one is there. This would drive me crazy.
Yeah, because bacon.
There's no bacon.
And
Exactly.
there's no bacon. That's rough.
This house, which serves as an art gallery today, was listed on the National Register of Historic Places on July 12th, 1974.
And
Theater Atchison, built in 1913 as the first church of Christ scientists, the building was modeled after the architectural lines of its mother church in Boston. Mother church is like the one before it.
yes.
Yes. Well, okay. I think it was a Christian Scientist church, and Christian Scientists are odd. Let's say odd. I don't want to offend anybody, but basically Christian Scientists don't use doctors. They pray to God, and if God doesn't cure them, well, then they die. Or they get, real sick or whatever it is that's going to happen. So it's an odd sect, and the places where people worship are all designed after the first church, which is located in Boston.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, yeah.
In 1973.
In 1973, the
Presbyterian.
That makes sense. The Presbyterian Church bought the building, and 10 years later, they created a community theater organization. Today, the building is known as the Presbyterian Community Letter and is home to Theater Atchison. Allegedly, it is also home to an unearthly spirit. Guests often describe feeling an unknown presence with them while they're visiting the theater, while others working in the building describe odd noises that are often heard that have no apparent earthly cause.
Alrighty. Next, we're going to check in at the Santa Fe Depot. Built in 1880 as a freight depot for the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway, the old depot stands as a landmark to Atchison's historic past. The restored building houses a Kansas Visitor Information Center, historical museum, and the Chamber of Commerce offices. A trolley takes visitors on tours around the historic city, including a Haunted Atchison tour. The ghost of Hangman Bill reportedly haunts the depot. A railroad worker is known for his habit of hanging from freight being loaded on and off cars. However, this prankish skill got him killed one day when the cable carrying one of the loads snapped and he was buried beneath the freight cargo. At the Santa Fe Depot today, staff reports hearing the sound of footsteps coming from above. However, the depot does not have a second floor.
So that brings us to probably the most famous place in Atchison, and that would be the Sallie House. Now, we sort of took a short shrift on the Sallie House because Graveyard Tales did an episode on it. Astonishing Legends has done an episode on it. It's probably one of the most covered haunted houses in the country by
really.
podcast. So I wanted to cast a bit wider net, but you cannot discuss Atchison without discussing the Sallie House. Located at 508 North 2nd Street, this house was owned at one point by a doctor. Now, according to the legend, a woman pounded on his door in the early hours of the morning, and it was a woman with a sick child. Examining her, he believed she was suffering from appendicitis and so went to operate. Now, depending on which version of the legend you hear, either because of her fear of the surgical equipment or his own drunkenness or ineptitude, the young girl did not survive the surgery. In 1993, a young couple buys the house, and Sallie makes an appearance and begins to turn the burners on the stove on and off. She turned the paintings upside down and scattered their daughter's toys about the nursery. Afterwards, the experiences became a lot more malevolent. Spontaneous fires began to appear throughout the house. The husband reported feelings akin to being possessed. He was at one point hanged by a mysterious force in the attic. Welts and scratches began to appear all over his body, and he felt possessed, as I said, by malevolent entities, which were trying to turn him against his wife. It was featured multiple times on the show's sightings. It was also featured on Unsolved Mysteries, the original, not the Netflix copy. It was also the basis for a show called Haunted Heartland, which was on Showtime. And as I said, multiple podcasts have covered it. So, Apollo, I love you.
The Sallie House is definitely one of the biggest paranormal haunting places, and someplace that so many people, so many very reputable, very honest people who are honest and can be honest about the fact that they're skeptical and they hadn't had experiences before, such as our friends on, Astonishing Legends and on Graveyard Tales. Both.
Yeah.
They had experiences there.
Right.
They had big life-changing experiences that made a huge difference in how they saw the world around them. So it's definitely someplace that we have to talk about, just even if it's just bringing up the name.
Right. And like I said, if you want more on it, there's places where they've done a ton of in-depth stuff. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about the Glick Mansion. It is located at 503 North 2nd Street. Construction on the Glick Mansion began in 1873 by George Washington Glick. Glick had moved to Atchison from Fremont, Ohio in the spring of 1859 with his wife, Lizzie Ryder Glick, son Frederick H., and his daughter Jenny. He established a law practice with the Honorable Judge Alfred G. Otis under the firm name Otis and Glick. Later, when the war between the states broke out, Glick served as a Union soldier in the 2nd Kansas Regiment during the Civil War. In April 1873, Glick purchased 2 lots and raised a structure on the property to begin the building of the mansion. First built in the old Gothic Victorian style, construction of the grand structure would continue for the next 39 years. Glick was elected to the Kansas legislature in 1862 and served for 14 of the next 18 years in that post. In 1874, Glick also became active in farming and stock raising on his 600-acre Shannon Hill farm, well known in the area. In 1879, Lizzie Glick, George's wife, purchased 2 adjoining lots north of their home, and another building was raised to make room for expansion of the mansion. It was also during this year that George Washington Glick would become the 9th governor of Kansas and the first ever Democratic governor of the state. Though he only remained in office for 1 term, he continued to remain active in the political arena, and after years of civic service, George Glick was forced to abandon his political career because of a throat infection that nearly destroyed his speaking ability. He continued, however, as an attorney for various railroads. He also managed his farm and served as a charter member and the first vice president of the Kansas Historical Society. In October 1909, George deeded the Glick Mansion property to his daughter Jenny and her husband James Orr. Just 2 years later, at the age of 83, George Washington Glick died on April 13, 1911. In 1912, James and Jenny Orr began to remodel the home, retaining the mansion's appearance but transforming it from a Victorian style to the current Tudor Revival manor style. When James Orr died in February 1927, the mansion was left with Jenny until she died in 1944. Having no children, the estate was divided among relatives, friends, the First Church of Krys Scientists of Atchison, Kansas, and the Atchison, Kansas Public Library. The estate then sold the mansion to the local mortician named William Stanton Jr. in January 1945 for $4,000. Oh my gosh. What a deal.
Well,
Even in 1945, it sounds like that was quite the place.
yeah.
After Mr. Stanton passed away in August of 1962, his wife Amelia sold the property to James M. and Christine Griffith. It passed through several hands until it was purchased by its current owners, Ray and Joyce Barmby. He currently owns and operates the beautiful restored mansion as a bed and breakfast inn. After years of...
I don't know how I did it, but somehow I repeated myself.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The Glick Mansion was placed on the National Register of Historic Places on February 26, 1992. Along with the rest of Atchison, the Glick Mansion is also said to have a ghost of its own rattling around in the century-old home. Allegedly, the strange sounds heard in the night are that of a resident benevolent ghost. The sound of doors being opened and inexplicably closed by unseen forces is a common occurrence, as well as the sound of doors being opened, as well as the sound of footsteps when no one is around.
So, yeah, I was surprised. I would have thought the Sallie House, it's probably got the biggest reputation, but it's far from being the most haunted place in the city.
Right, for sure.
You know. So let's talk about Benedictine College. It's located on the bluffs overlooking the Missouri River. The 150-year-old Benedictine College is also haunted. Not by evil spirits, according to some. This historic college is said to remain home to the spirits of some of the old monks who founded the institution more than a century and a half ago, continuing to look after and protect the campus dormitory.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah. It all began in 1858 when the monks opened a boarding school with just 6 students. The following year, St. Benedict's College was officially opened with 16 students. From there, the college continued to grow into the beautiful 120-acre campus, which now serves as the educational needs of over 1,000 students. At another dormitory called Memorial Hall, several eerie things have been known to occur. According to legend, a girl was in her closet changing when the dresser mysteriously moved in front of the door. When she tried to open the door, it wouldn't budge. Immediately believing her roommate was playing a prank on her, she yelled out, "Ha ha, very funny, let me out." However, the roommate wasn't even in the room at the time. It wasn't until she began to scream at the top of her lungs that someone finally came to her rescue. One student even reported that she woke to see what appeared to be someone going in and out of her closet and leaving it a mess. She believes to this day that she was visited by a spirit. Now, a short story, a personal experience I had. Years ago, I lived at 606 Spring Street in Atchison, Kansas. And that's when me and Tammy were an item, so Logan lived there briefly as well. While living there, I often felt something or someone nearby, and often woke up because I felt something tap me, even though nothing was there. Now, one night I woke up to see a full-bodied apparition moving around the dining room. Because while technically my room was upstairs in the summer, that place got so hot, I would just sleep downstairs on the couch. Anyway, so yeah, I saw this full-bodied apparition moving around the dining room, and a sound came out of me. It wasn't a word. It wasn't me talking. It was just a sound that came out of me. Because I couldn't believe what I saw. But it made her look at me. And looking up, I watched her face melt, quite literally, and her skull-visaged form charge at me, vanishing just before she reached me. It's probably the most scared I've been by a paranormal encounter in my lifetime.
I can see where that would be frightening.
And so Atchison is once again a place like Fort Osage, where we talk about all the houses there. People have probably seen ghosts. And I'm willing to bet there's a lot of that in Atchison as well. Now, a possible explanation for all of these hauntings are the limestone cliffs near the town and the presence of the Missouri River. These things tend to be kind of ghost magnets.
And we talked about that when we talked about Fort Osage. It literally sits on the banks of the Missouri River, so.
As does St. Joe.
Yes.
We've done an episode on Haunted St. Joe as well.
Yeah.
So,
I think you've also talked about that experience before, maybe not on the podcast, but I do think you talked about it before.
So that's one possible explanation. Another is just, okay, look, I try to be positive every time I talk about something. But living in Atchison, I felt like it was a place where they sent souls that were too evil to go to hell. I did not enjoy my time there at the time.
Well,
I might now, but in my 20s, I was too far away from everything that mattered. So I did not enjoy my time there. Also, having to drive past the prison to get to Parkville and then Kansas City was interesting. And let's not forget that this is where Amelia Earhart was born. She learned to fly, something that almost no women did at that time, so she could get away from the town. Let's just say there's been times Atchison wasn't the hippest place to live. I'm just saying. So why is it haunted? Because even the dead want to get away. That's just a guess. I don't know.
That's your final thought. That's your final word on the subject. I like it.
I don't know if it's my final word, but it's definitely my thoughts.
We've talked about a lot of different places where people have had experiences. There's no reason for me to call any of it to question, because while I remain calm about it, I definitely am a believer in things outside of what we can see and explain. And whether those be paranormal things or the stone tape theory that we've talked about multiple times before.
Right.
Whatever the reason, I have had experiences, you've had experiences, our kids have had experiences. We definitely, at least to a point, are believers that there are things out there that can't be explained. So absolutely, is there things going on in Atchison? I have no reason. We don't have any reason to question, even if we question these stories, people that we respect and that we firmly believe in their validity and their intelligence have shared personal experiences, if only just from the Sallie House. So we definitely know that there is things going on in the area. That's without question.
Right. Krista, any thoughts?
I mean, what more is there to say about Atchison? Atchison is just a very
It's a city
well-known,
in Kansas.
Yeah, it's very well-known, like, haunted-wise. Like, I feel like it's talked about quite a bit.
Yeah.
Whether or not, like, it's haunted or not. And at this point, I don't really think there's a say of, is it haunted, yes or no? I mean, yeah, it's obvious. There's evidence. I mean, it's okay to think that it's not. But, like...
And there's a bridge in Atchison over the Missouri River now where that ferry used to be. And, of course, when I lived there, I didn't always have a car. So there's more than a few times I had to walk across that bridge to get someplace. And I swear to you, to this day, that I heard someone calling my name. So I wouldn't say all of these have been, I mean...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that being said, I knew maybe 6 people in the town, and it was not any of them. So, yeah, it just, I don't know. And one other thing I will add, it is fairly common for the police to get a report of something going on, like a strange person hanging out in a corner or whatever. And they get there, and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Now, sure, a lot of times that's just the person leaving, but the police, they know certain descriptors are probably going to be ghosts. And they have called in, hey, I've got a strange, never mind, because as this person is crossing in front of their vehicle, they just vanish. And when the police even the police in Atchison, which are kind of a joke, I mean, let's be real. When I first came to Atchison, I was kind of lost, so I drove because this was in the days before cell phones, but I drove to a convenience store, and then I called a friend of mine in town to get to where I was going because I was kind of lost. Well, as soon as I stepped out of my car, a police officer that had followed me demanded my license and all this and other stuff and wanted to know what I was doing in town. Let's be real. You're a joke at that point. You really are. So their police officers are kind of jokes, but at the same time, I would assume they've had some training, and perps don't usually go just missing while they watch. So that's our show. Thanks for listening. Did you like it? Tell us in our Facebook group. Got a show idea? Tell us in our Facebook group. In essence, please join our Facebook group. Plenty of room. I can have up to 30,000 or some ridiculous amount of people in that group. Help yourself. Join in. Also, thanks to Bill Barrett, who does our theme music. The man's a musician of great talent. So if you need his help for a project or someone to play a party or a wedding or whatever, you can reach Bill at Bill Barrett, and that last name is spelled BEHRENDT at sbcglobal.net. Also, thanks go to Paige Elmore, who, in addition to being a Canva addict and making our logo art with Krista, thank you, Paige.
Thank you.
She has also got her own podcast, Reverie Crime Pod. If you want a true crime podcast, she's the gal for you. And finally, thanks to Aaron Gnurk of the Big Dumb Fun Show, who continues to promote us locally. Join us next week for another spooky season special topic. Bye!